Hello and welcome to AGB Art. Today we're going to be varnishing a couple of canvases, and I'm looking at a new product for me. This is the DecoArt Glossy Liquid Varnish that I'll be working with today. If you like my video, please press like and subscribe. I got this bottle probably at Walmart or Michael's, and it might have cost me $5 or $6. Here are the two paintings I planned to varnish today. It is a liquid varnish, and it's easily found at Amazon, Walmart, or Michael's. I'm checking the back of my painting to be sure that it has cured long enough. Has it been 3 weeks? I think so. I also check for something else on the back. This one I used oil on to get cells, so that's going to need a special cleaning procedure. I'm using rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Some people will use Dawn detergent and literally wash the painting in a sink and dry it. But before I do any cleaning, I'm going to put push pins in the back of the canvases to lift them up off of the table. That way I can be sure the sides are covered. And also so the painting doesn't stick to the plastic. I'm just pushing them in with my hands. You can use a small hammer if that's easier for you. Now I have all of the push pins in the back of the frame, and I'm going to turn it back on the table and make sure that it's level. And you can see this brown and gold one is not level. So I'm pulling one of the push pins out to try to get it more level. And I realize now that it doesn't really matter if it's level or not because I'm not pouring paint on it. But it's an old habit of mine to make sure the canvases are level, so I'm working on it. I'm pulling one push pin out a little bit, and then I'm pushing another one in. I'm getting ready to use my rubbing alcohol, and I just squirt a couple drops on the blue painting. I used silicone oil in the painting, and so I'm lightly rubbing it with the paper towel. You will see some paint come off, but you shouldn't see that much paint come off. I really don't like the fact that that much paint is coming off. And what actually is happening is the blue is smearing onto the white areas of the painting. So now I'm having to clean the smeared blue paint off of the white area. You can see how much work it took for that other painting. The brown one took no time at all. And now I'm using my blow dryer just to get the alcohol to dissipate and checking to see the temperature of the blow dryer. I like to use it on cool. We're just trying to get the alcohol to disappear. Okay, we're ready to get started. I'm using a recycled container. Here's the triple thick glaze. I'm going to give it a good shake. And I'm going to squirt about a quarter cup into the container I'm using. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting the top off, it looks like. I'm really eyeballing my measurements. I should be more scientific, but it looks like it's about a quarter cup, and I'm going to squirt some water into it. I've read in a lot of groups that people will water down Liquitex varnish, so I'm doing the same thing. And it's probably under a 1-part ratio. I'm thinking there was really barely any water. I'm using a popsicle stick to mix it up. It's very watery in consistency. And next I'm using a lint-free cloth. I bought a ton of these in March 2020 when I thought we would never be able to find paper towels. I got these at the dollar store. They're really quite big cloths, and of course they're washable. So I've just dipped a little bit of the liquid onto the cloth and I'm rubbing in circular motions. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the painting because there really isn't any need to. Why am I doing this with a cloth in a circular motion? Well, I really hate brush strokes. And when I buy inexpensive brushes, the bristles come off and end up in the varnish, and I don't want that texture. I'm just circling all over the painting, and now I'm working the sides. It's really just light wiping. Now I'm going to get the blue painting and do exactly the same thing. I'm dipping the lint-free cloth in and doing little circles all over the painting. The directions on the bottle say that I should leave the wet paintings for 24 hours before touching them. Now that is if you use the liquid straight out of the bottle, but I'm still going to honor those instructions. And I'm just making sure I've covered the entire painting. It's already got a little shine to it, I guess because it's wet. And now I'm going to take the cloth, and I've decided I really only used part of it, so I cut it up. I'm going to take that wet cloth, fold it up, and stick it back in the plastic container. And my guess is it will soak up the rest of the liquid, but that's okay because I'll be back in a couple of hours to put another coat on. And here we are, almost 24 hours later. You can see there's already a nice little shine. It's subtle. So 24 hours later, I'm back to do coat number 2. Shaking up the bottle. I always open the entire cap because the flip top sometimes gets gunky and I just don't want to fight it. So I just open up the entire cap. I'm pouring some more into the container because the cloth did soak up all of the liquid. So now there's very little in there, and I'm adding a little bit of water. Again, I'm adding, I can't even tell you what the measurements are, but the water is less than 50% of the liquid. Stir it up with a popsicle stick. And you have some super watery consistency. And then I have my cloth from yesterday, which has soaked up last night's liquid. I'm kind of squeezing it out. You can see it really, oh yeah, right over my hand. So I've got some good liquid in there. The cloth is damp. And I'm going to repeat what I did yesterday, just lightly rubbing the sides and the front of the canvas. I'll check by tilting the canvas to make sure that it's wet all over. I haven't left any spots. And there you see, I did feel like I left a couple of spots there. And here comes the brown one. And I'm doing exactly the same thing. I really like this liquid watered down. It's a subtle kind of gloss. It's not super glass-like. And the liquid doesn't feel incredibly sticky. It's not heavy. But I can definitely see where other artists will line up maybe 10 or 15 paintings and just do the varnishing all at once on a table. All right, I'm done with varnishing the two canvases. I'm putting my lint-free cloth back in the container, snapping on the lid, and I will leave these paintings probably for a couple of hours or maybe overnight again. So now I've decided I'm going to experiment with using the liquid and not putting water in it. This is an old canvas I don't like, really. It's got a lot of paint on it, and it's definitely been more than 3 weeks. I'm shaking up the gloss finish, and I'm going to pour it directly on the painting. One thing I noticed about this gloss finish is it has a real stink to it. It's not horrible, but it's really not very pleasant. I pour a little puddle in the middle of the canvas, and you can see it's very thick. Not only is it thick, it's difficult to move around on the painting. It's drying pretty quickly, and it's sticky, tacky. I'm super glad at this point that I put gloves on. I'm getting the sides, and you can see, wow, lots of gloss there. Because it's so thick, I think it's going to be hard to not have the strokes, to actually see the lines. So here I'm trying to do the more circular motions, but at this point, the varnish isn't liquid anymore. It's really sticky. It's almost like a clear, thick glue. And I will let that sit overnight. I don't know that I would do another coat of it. It looks very thick as it is right now. And I'm putting it back on the table and immediately think, oh my goodness, that is going to stick. So I ended up putting 2 plastic cups underneath it so it wouldn't stick. to the table. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please press like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.